Good day, everybody. I'm back. I'm your host, Jack Remington, of the Jack Remington NFL channel. This is week 3. Week 2 is behind us. The good, the bad, and the ugly of week 2 first. The bad, 1 win and 4 losses on both my tickets. So I'm 6-4 on the first ticket and 5-5 on the second ticket. There's some people that's got 7.5 and 8 right. So they went 4-1 twice, 2 weeks in a row. So I got my work cut out for me. I had the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Clowns on both my tickets and lost on both. So that's 4 games I lost between the 2 tickets right there. That won't happen again. Moving forward, only 1 team will I ever allow to be put on both tickets. That way I can't get schlonkered. Okay, the ugly. After my 12 wins and 4 losses against the spread week 1, I went 6 wins, 8 losses, and 2 pushes. I somehow got 2 pushes. I guess the Minnesota Vikings game landed on 6 with that backdoor cover. The Carolina Panthers touchdown and a 2-point conversion with a minute left or whatever it was in their game against the Saints. So I got 2 pushes, but I couldn't even put one of those on the contest to help me out. But the good news. First thing my wife says, well, I think you're just unlucky this week. No. I was more lucky in week 2 than week 1. I needed the Rams to kick that field goal with 4 seconds left to cover the Rams plus 8. Thank you, Sean McVay. And it's a good thing I say good things about you on these videos. Or else I had an 0-5 ticket. This first ticket, I had the Titans, and I handicapped that game pretty much right, although the flow of the game, I had the Titans as a front runner, but the Chargers jumped out to 11-0 lead. But still, once they got the ball rolling, they started using Derrick Henry. And I knew Tannehill had a great game. Chargers should have won that game. I know I handicapped it right, and I know what you're thinking, but you know what? Chargers went 2 for 13 on 3rd downs, and there was a couple of strange plays that that should have went the Chargers' way. I should have had 2 0-5 tickets with egg on my face, and that's okay. Oh, and I got luckier with the survivor pool at the New York Giants, and they were down 20-0 at halftime, 28-7, either late in the 3rd quarter or early in the 4th quarter. And Daniel Jones turned into Danny Dimes times 1,000. He ran, he did everything. He was the one-man wrecking crew. And Saquon Barkley got hurt, it was mostly Daniel Jones, and they made the comeback and they won that game. So I'm still alive in both my survivor pools. So I felt I was lucky last week. One little thing to talk about before I get to the picks. Do not listen to the pundits who say that week 1 was the hardest week. Weeks 3 and 4 to meld it together is the hardest in the NFL handicapping. You get schlonkered here, you go 0-3. Your season is pretty much over. You start thinking about next year. Cap moves, general manager stuff, placement in the draft. Your general manager is working 10 hours a day right now. Okay, if your team falls 0-3, you consider yourself out of the race. You're not going to catch the 3-0 team, and they already beat you once. Draft placement, the waiver wires, unrestricted free agent, the walk-ons, extra camps. They're still going to spend some money, but it's not going to be for this year. They're going to spend money for next year. I know what you're thinking. Well, he said weeks 3 and 4. Well, week 4 is now melded with week 3 is the hardest week because in 2021, they added the 17th game to the schedule. You can go 0-3, and then you got a little extra breather. You got a 60% chance of still increasing your odds for a playoff run if you go 0-3. But very few teams at 0-3 ever make it. Few teams make it 0-2, but it's a lot more common than the 0-3. Starting 0-4 is the San Diego Chargers, but I don't remember the years. I'll look it up later. That was a 16-game schedule. From 1961 to 1978, it was a 14-game schedule. So if you went 0-3 during that time, you were finished, and no team ever made it 0-3. When the 16-game schedule came in 1978 is when the 0-4 Chargers made the playoffs. So having those 2 extra games helped their chances exponentially. So the second hardest week is not week 1. It's week 17. Okay, think Green Bay and Detroit last year. Detroit was playing the spoiler. Well, we had that game. We had Detroit up spoiling the Green Bay. 80% of the money's coming on the Packers to get the 7th seed. They still had Aaron Rodgers, right? Well, Detroit beat them straight up. And that low line, it's low for a reason. The odds makers and the bookmakers know that Detroit's going to play the spoiler. Division rivalry, too. It's hard to gauge Week 17 on certain games. So Week 17 is the second hardest after Weeks 3 and 4. Then your Week 1's the hardest. Well, enough of that. So this video is for the first ticket, and you heard my little spiel. I'm trying to keep the video short. So the second video will have the results of Weeks 1, 2, and 3, our survivor picks for Week 3, and one special situation bet that if I was in Vegas, I'd take a couple dimes. I'd put on this one specialty bet. So you want to hear that, and I think it's a high percentage winner, and I'll give you my reason why I would make that bet. And I normally don't make these these kind of bets, this special situation bet. It's a first half bet, and only one teaser. We lost our teaser we had last week. That was part of the ugly. We had the Baltimore plus 10.5, where it was. That was an easy winner. Then we had the Jets plus 16 points, and they couldn't cover. If they needed one more score in the fourth quarter, that's why I only did one teaser, because I won 4 in a row the week 1 and won them all. When you have a good week like that, the chances of getting them wrong are very high, and it happened to me. But that's all on me. But I just want to just point that out. Ticket number 1. And on both tickets, we're taking the Los Angeles Chargers. And as far as the fish eggs contest, the soup simulator, I have the graphic here for you to look at. It's got pick'em, and you're not going to see that very often in any contest. They like to shade a half point or a point and a half. These are the games you got to master, although I didn't do very well last week. The pick'ems, the minus half, -1, -1.5. You got to master those. You got to get 90% of those games right to be a successful handicapper. You're just picking the winner. I mean, if you can't do that, then you're not going to do well on other spots either, as far as I'm concerned. Going over the injury list real quick. Minnesota's actually, their list actually went down, but the one linebacker, Davenport linebacker, he's out for an ankle. We got another linebacker, Jay Hicks. He's got something on his shin. Gus Bradbury, he's a center. He's got a back injury. Looking on the Los Angeles side, one injury sticks out that really hurts me. Joey Bosa, he's questionable with a hamstring injury. Bosa's dealing with a hamstring injury and is uncertain if he will play against the Vikings on Sunday. So people were saying, why am I taking the Chargers when they're at Minnesota? Staley's on a hot seat. And all the comments how bad he is and the Chargers stink, the Chargers suck. Let me tell you something. They have not turned the ball over. The Vikings have had 7 turnovers, I believe. You can look it up for yourself. I'm handicapping this game in my mind properly. We're taking the Los Angeles Chargers. Pick them, don't have to lay anything. It's 60-40. Money's coming in on the Vikings. Yes, they're both teams are one-dimensional. Yes, it's going to be a shootout. And the over-runner just got better from 51.5 to 54, almost 55. All short of 55 now. It'll be a fun game to watch. And I just think the Chargers got better team speed. And I like Kirk Cousins is pretty good. And they got a couple other good players too. But the Chargers could be 2-0. Where the Vikings could never have been 2-0 under different circumstances. So, second pick. When I got laughed at, my wife laughed at me with this one. We're taking the Denver Broncos plus the 6.5. They're at Miami. Miami's got 18 people on their injury list, and Denver's got 15. So they're both kind of banged up. But the key injuries, okay, when you look at the injury report, when you see August 31st, August 22nd, that's already been factored in. You want to look at the recent injuries from a week. Jalen Waddle, that injury report's on September 19th, which is this week. Waddle's going through a concussion protocol and is uncertain if he will line up against the Broncos on Sunday. That's huge. That's huge for us. I mean, he's a good player. We got the Phillips linebackers questionable. Joseph, the quarterback. Armstead is all-pro. Tackle, this Julian Hill, the tight end, he's questionable. Running back, Ahmed, got a groin injury. Questionable. Come on, you know what a groin injury is, folks, don't you? Tyreek Hill is on the injury list. I was mistaken. Tyreek Hill has got an ankle injury. Quote, Tyreek Hill is attending to an ankle injury, but it is likely that he will lace up for Sunday's clash versus the Broncos. Well, guess what? He only had 5 catches last week against Bill Belichick. You think Sean Payton's not going to take a look at this and kind of shut him down? Look on the Denver side, yeah, they got some injuries too, but nothing stands out like the Miami's injuries. Now here it says the weather forecast is sunny, but the other forecast I got was it might rain Sunday. Sloppy field, humidity, and you hear, well, it's going to favor Miami. 90% of the players in the National Football League are from the South and Southwest anyway. Okay, the heat and humidity and sloppy field hurts everybody equally. Denver's a mile high, altitude. It affects all players equally. You got to get that out of your mind. I don't know why they even say stuff like that, but they do. Why am I taking the points when it gets to the Denver Broncos? Well, 75% of the money is coming on Miami, which tells me something. No one's giving the Broncos a chance. But Denver's not far from being 2-0, and Miami could be 0-2. They could have lost the Chargers game, and yes, they could have actually lost the New England game. Although I thought Miami played better with the New England game than they actually did for the Chargers, because I watched both games closely. I like Miami, and I had Miami in the playoffs against the Bills, that big game I keep bragging about. And Miami made me some money last year, so yeah, I like Miami. But you know what? Sean Payton is an experienced coach. I know he lost his first 2 home games, but the 0-2, this is week 3. They know that they got to get a win, and this might be a good spot for them to do so when no one's expecting them to win. So I'm going to take the 6.5 points and just hope for a close game. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Russell Wilson's watching. He didn't look washed up when I watched the game. I don't know what game they're all watching, but Russell Wilson actually played pretty well. Here's what's everybody's getting wrong about the Broncos. Oh, they got a good defense. Not anymore. They're what I call the 450 wannabes, wannabe 500 defense. There's 5 types of teams. Your 800 ball clubs, the Eagles, the 49ers, and you got your 500s. Okay, they're always 9-8 now, or 10-7, but they're above 500. Okay, then you got your 8 and 9s, your sub 500, your wannabes, New England Patriots, New England Jets, and then you got your other teams, the 300s and 200s, the Houston Texans, those kind of teams. The Broncos defense is no longer an 800 type ball club when they had Peyton Manning. Okay, they are now the 450 sub 500 wannabe defense. Can't stop much, can they? And they needed to stop against the Raiders. They couldn't get it in game 1. That was very telling. Don't sleep on the Sean Payton guy. McDaniel's okay for Miami, but Sean Payton's got the experience. He's got the know-how. I would take Sean Payton over McDaniel's any day of the week. And it's going to come down to coaching when you got 2 offensive juggernauts. Miami's defense is not that good either. That's why I'm looking for a high-scoring game. And the high-scoring game favors a team like the Broncos. Get that word defense out of your mind for this game. Think offense for this game. And that's why I'm handicapping the offensive team. And you're getting 6.5 points. I got to take the 6.5 points and hope for the best. So we're taking the Broncos as our second pick. The third pick, I get grief about this pick too, but the more grief I get, the more I like it. We're taking the Washington Commanders plus 6.5, hosting the Buffalo Bills. And they both got a lot of injuries too. But if you look closely, only a third of the list is for recent weeks for injuries. Washington, Curtis Samuel, the wide receiver, but he's got a hip problem, but he's probable. Running back Robinson, hip problem, he's probable. The only bad injury I see on this is this defensive tackle, Darren Payne. He's questioned with an ankle injury. So now on the Buffalo Bills side, the tight end, Dawson Knox, he's probably got a back injury. I'm not so sure about that. Is James Cook, that running back? He's got a personal. He's out. Quote, James Cook is tending to a personal matter, but it's projected that he will partake in Sunday's clash versus Commanders. Now, how good is he going to be? Offensive tackle, shoulder injury. Linebacker, Bernard, questionable, knee injury. That's good for us. Bad for Buffalo. Defensive end, Leonard Floyd. Quote, Floyd is battling a foot injury and is unclear if he will dress for Sunday's showdown versus Commanders. That's good for us. This Micaiah Hyde player, he's a safety. He's questionable with a hamstring. Quote, Micaiah Hyde exited the last matchup with a hamstring injury, leaving his status for Sunday's contest against Commanders in question. So the injury report vastly favors the Washington Commanders. The actual game itself, what we got to work with, Buffalo had their exhale. They got their bugs out of their system, or so they think, by beating up on the Raiders 38-10. But the Raiders got the ball, moved in, and did just slice them like margarine, and got a touchdown up 7-0. Oh my God! And I got Buffalo in the survivor pick. But Buffalo, they righted the ship, and they got it going. But the Raiders shot themselves in the foot a lot. I'm not taking it away from Buffalo Bills. I like Buffalo Bills. I like all the teams. But this is their exhale. Oh, don't worry, Buffalo, they're on the way back. So they lost to the Jets in the opener. They always lose to the Jets. It's a division rivalry. Don't worry about it. This is not a division rivalry. There's very little familiarity between Washington Commanders and the Buffalo Bills. And they're going in Washington. Washington is 2-0. And I know they struggled against the Cardinals. But they came back and played a great second half against the Broncos we just talked about. This team got confidence and they got a pass rush. They woke up with a pass rush. And I'm telling you, what is the kryptonite for any quarterback? I don't care if you're Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Philip Rivers. I could go down the list on Johnny Unitas, Kurt Warner, going back, Joe Montana. What is the kryptonite that beats these great quarterbacks? Great pass rush. Okay, you heard it here first. If I was in Vegas, I'm taking the 6.5, and I'm putting a little sprinkle on the money line. That way, if it hits, well, I'm doing pretty good. If it doesn't hit, well, I just got my 6.5 on the main money bet. So that's what I would be doing. I like the spot here. In Buffalo's next game, they're hosting Miami. I'm not so sure their whole focus is on this upstart, no-nothing Washington Commanders team. But that Sam Howell, the quarterback, he looked pretty good to me. The NFC East are beasts, aren't they? Washington 2-0. You got Dallas 2-0. Philadelphia's 2-0. The Giants are, after last night, they got beat down by 49ers, but the Giants have won the game. So the NFC East, watch out. You heard it here first. Game number 4. We're taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus the 5. Philadelphia's got the third most injury list, 16 players on their list, 13 of them from September 12th on up. So since week 2, they've been getting banged up. Josh Sweat, I think he's played for the Commanders. He's questioned with that toe injury. This linebacker Cunningham, rib injury, questionable. Fletcher Cox, the defensive tackle, all-pro beast, okay, questionable, rib injury. Okay, the safety Edmonds, illness. Quote, T. Edmonds is ailing from an illness and is unclear if he will be in Monday's lineup versus the Buccaneers, end of quote. Blankenship, the safety, quote, Blankenship missed the previous game with rib injury and is unclear if he will be active for Monday's clash versus the Buccaneers, end of quote. Watkins, a wide receiver, hamstring. Okay, that's all this week. I can't name them all because the video will be at 10 hours long. Okay, the Buccaneers got a couple injuries. Nothing really sticks out. So I think we're getting a healthier team. Tampa Bay is also 2-0. The NFC West, we got the Tampa Bay Bucks 2-0. The New Orleans Saints 2-0. The Atlanta Falcons 2-0. NFC West, normally it was always a doormat in the punching bag for the other NFC teams. Not this year, baby. Yeah, not this year. Okay, the last pick on ticket number 1, and I got laughed at this one too at work. We're taking the Indianapolis Colts plus 7.5. It's been bet down from 9.5 to 7.5, so that worried me a little bit. That we're losing some value. You know, I love my Ravens. I love Lamar Jackson, but you know what? I'm picking a spot. Baltimore also has 16 injuries, tied with Philadelphia. 40% of them were from this week on. Odell Beckham, the wide receiver, he's out. Not questionable, not probable. Not doubtful, he's out. Ankle injury. Devon Clowney, okay, he's got an illness. We're not sure. Lamar Jackson is on the injury list. Probable hand injury. And I quote, Lamar Jackson is projected to take on the Colts on Sunday despite a left-hand injury. End of quote. Now, this is non-throwing hand, but still, that's concerning. Darius Washington, the safety, he's out. This J. Dobbins got hurt. J.K. Dobbins, Achilles, out for the season. Indianapolis got a couple injuries too. Anthony Richardson, questionable, concussion protocol. Quote, Richardson is going through concussion protocol and he will not lace up for the Sunday's clash against the Ravens, end of quote. I was against the Colts and I had the Texans. And, oh good, let's get this Richardson out of the game. Well, they bring in Gardner Minshew, the third. You know, I forgot he was their backup quarterback. But they brought him off the bench and he only goes 19 for 24 for X number of yards and just looked really, really sharp and good. Richardson is their future. Okay, Minshew is just insurance. And that's how the NFL runs their quarterbacks. Rookie kid gets hurt for the Panthers. Who's their backup quarterback? Anthony Dalton. In my mind, a pretty good quarterback. But he's a little older now and doesn't sell tickets and just not very popular. And he's not unpopular. He's not hated like Michael Vick was, or just Deshaun Watson in Cleveland's not helping any. He's serviceable. He can move the ball down the field. He's experienced. And so, this kid for the Carolina Panthers and the rookie quarterbacks for the Texans, the Stroud, Richardson for the Colts, they're the future. I got my wish. I got Richardson out of the game, but here comes Gardner Minshew, and I knew I couldn't win that bet. So that's good in their favor. I think Gardner Minshew, the third, he should be a starter somewhere, but that's my opinion. Recap, ticket number 1, we're taking the Chargers, Denver plus 6.5, Washington home dog plus 6.5, home underdogs. They were 4-4-1 against the spread. They did better than what they normally do. We're taking the Buccaneers at home underdog plus 5, and the Colts road dog plus 7.5. Stay tuned for if you want to watch video 2. Thank you, players. Stay within your means. Enjoy the games. Long live the NFL. See you in the next video. Thank you.